Ahsan, and he used to, all his life, he did majalis here, and we used to come here. So this is a very special occasion for me, and this is the first majlis I'm attending without Dr. Sayyid Safdar Raza. Please, for him and for all of our friends, Dr. Sayyid Mazhari Sahib, his wife, Dr. Hussain Sahib, and etc. Those who have left the world, please say a loud salawat for them. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So I'll be reciting in Urdu. I hope most of you will understand that. So I'll first recite a rubai in the shan of Imam Ali, because our Aimma have told us that we have to do his zikr, which decorates our majalis. Please say a salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil faraj. Kam aayegi turbat mein ولائے حیدر کام آئے گی تربت میں ولائے حیدر لے جائے گی جنت میں ثنائے حیدر بولیں گے نکیرین بچھا دے آنکھیں بولیں گے نکیرین بچھا دے آنکھیں لینے تجھے ساتھ اپنے وہ آئے حیدر کام آئے گی تربت میں ولائے حیدر. And two stanzas, two ashar for again our marhumin, because they used to hold these majalis, and this silsila is continuing, alhamdulillah. ذکر غم حسین سے محفل سجی رہی ذکر غم حسین سے محفل سجی رہی گل ہو گیا چراغ مگر روشنی رہی ذکر غم حسین سے محفل سجی رہی اکبر کے بعد زیست میں کیا دلکشی رہی اکبر کے بعد زیست میں کیا دلکشی رہی لیلا تمام عمر یہی سوچتی رہی روما اشک غم حسین کا ٹوٹا نہ سلسلہ اشک غم حسین کا ٹوٹا نہ سلسلہ رومال فاطمہ میں رومال فاطمہ میں ہمیشہ نمی رہی رومال فاطمہ میں صلوات آل محمد. یہ ایک عزائیہ سلام ہے، بس اس کے 3 شعر پیش کروں گا. ایک صلوات پڑھ لیجیے. بسم اللہ. اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد. کیوں چاک گریبان سکینہ کا ہوا ہے کیوں چاک گریبان سکینہ کا ہوا ہے کیا سایہ شبیر ابھی سر سے اٹھا ہے کیوں چاک گریبان کس کے لیے چھوٹا سا گڑھا کھود رہے ہیں کس کے لیے چھوٹا سا گڑھا کھود رہے ہیں اور کس کا لہو شاہ نے چہرے پہ ملا ہے کیوں چاک گریبان پیاسے کو قضا سانس بھی لینے نہیں دیتی پیاسے کو قضا سانس بھی لینے نہیں دیتی لایا ہے ابھی لاش ابھی لینے چلا ہے لایا ہے ابھی لاش ابھی لینے چلا ہے کیوں سر پر سکینہ کے نہیں ننھا سا برقع کیوں سر پر سکینہ کے نہیں ننھا سا برقع اظہار यतीमी है के सर खाक भरा है, क्यों चाक गरीबान सकीना का हुआ बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलावत। बर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद बुलंद तरीन सलावत। Salam Allah. As a gift emanating from this blessed gathering, the Majlis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, to the souls of all of the lovers of Imam al-Hussein, all the martyrs or the scholars, all the servants of the Imam alayhi salatu wassalam, as well as the departed souls of this household, Dr. Ahsan, may Allah bless him, Hasur Begum bint Nawab, Munan Sahib, Sayyid Munawwar Hussein ibn Dular Sahib, Sayyid Safdar Raza ibn Sayyid Nasir Raza, Masuma Raza bint Nasir Raza, Sayyid Kazim Raza ibn Sayyid Mutahhir Raza, and all of the mu'mineen who have left this world, who used to attend these majalis, but are now deprived of these blessings and these gatherings, although, inshallah, they may be in the presence of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. To all of them, Fatiha tasbiquha as-salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين الغرر الميامين. صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء. سيدي يا ليتنا كنا معكم فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam wrote many letters to his supporters, to his friends. Far-flung places received messages from Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. In each of those letters, which have been compiled in book form and preserved for centuries, the Imam emphasized the importance of standing
with the divine authority of their time. The importance of obeying the Imam and supporting him and helping him in his divine mission. But then on the 9th of Muharram, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam says that he says that the siege around Imam al-Hussein was completed. There was no chance anyone could get in or out of Karbala. And so it was all over. The fate of Imam al-Hussein and his companions and his family was all but sealed. And it's from there that the Imam wrote one of the shortest letters, but also one of the most incredible and insightful letters of all time. Not just the letters that the Imam wrote, but a letter that if you ponder over it, if you think about it, will completely transform your life. It sums up the philosophy of all of God's prophets and messengers. All the divinely inspired books, all the scriptures, all 124,000 prophets who came. This sums up their mission and their message to humanity. What did the Imam say? He said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, and the letter was addressed to his brother Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Amma ba'd. فكأن الدنيا لم تكن وكأن الآخرة لم تزل والسلام. What's the Imam saying here? In one line, two passages. He says, it's as though this dunya never existed. This dunya is so short in comparison to the life of our planet. Our lives are so transient. They're like a flash. They're like a blink of an eye in comparison to the age of our planet. Our solar system is about 4 billion years old. And we have another 4 billion years of fuel left in the sun. 8 billion years is the life of our sun and the planets that orbit around it. 8 billion. Compare that to the average human lifespan, 70, 80, 90, 100. That's like 0.0000001%. In comparison to the universe and the age of the universe, where they talk about 92 billion years since the Big Bang, you do the math. Imam al-Hussein says, كأن الدنيا لم تكن وكأن الآخرة لم تزل. And it's as though the afterlife has always existed since time immemorial and for eternity. In other words, we're making comparisons between our lifespans and this planet and the solar system and the known observable universe. But if you compare our lifespans to the akhirah, which is infinite, it keeps on infinitely going on and on and on and on and on. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will keep adding more time. We will still be subject to time and space. We are, after all, physical beings. No one is above time and space. But Allah will keep adding more and more time. There is no comparison. The comparison is ludicrous. And so, again, all it takes is a few moments of contemplation. Is sacrificing that for this worth it? No matter what I get in this world, if I become the richest person in the entire world, now you have people who are billionaires and you have those who are saying, I want to be the first trillionaire. Let's say the guy who flies rockets and builds electric vehicles manages to amass a wealth of $1 trillion, $1,000 billion. How long is he going to live? How much of that will he actually use? How much of it will benefit him? How much is he going to eat? How long in a day, how many hours is he going to sleep? How many rooms does he need to live in? How many houses, how many mansions, how many yachts, how many boats, how many this, how many that? How many cars? I'll mention this parenthetically, it's okay. A friend of mine invited me to his house. So when I showed up, he came to pick me up in his Rolls Royce. So then we go, and he opened his garage to show me his car collection. So he showed me the Ferrari, and he showed me the Porsche, and he showed me the Rolls Royce, and then he's like, do you want to drive the Ferrari, maybe take it for a spin? I said, no, thank you. Then we went into the house, and he started showing me his art collection and all the little details, the things he's bought. I bought this from China, I bought that from India, I bought this from Tanzania. Then he showed me his indoor basketball court. Then he showed me the pier to the lake and the jet skis and the different themed rooms. This is a Moroccan theme, this is an Egyptian theme, this is an Indian theme room. And he said, take your pick. I said, I don't care, I just want a bed. Then he said, I want to take you out shopping, and I'll buy you this Versace coat, and I'll buy you this LV jacket. And I said, listen, what I wear is, it's not because I'm an ascetic, I'm a zahid, but this is the most comfortable clothes anyone can wear. Plus, it's a reminder of what Rasulullah used to wear. This is what the Prophet used to wear. He used to wear a turban, he used to wear aba'ah. And if I don't emulate Rasulullah in my conduct and my actions, the least I could do is try and emulate him in the way he dressed. So I'm not interested. Then I realized something. I realized that people like that, they want to maximize pleasure. And so he feels pleasure when he makes the money. Then he feels pleasure when he spends the money. Then he feels the pleasure when he gets delivery of his cars and his gadgets and his, furniture and all these things. Then after a while it wears off. The pleasure is gone. So you have this new car and it's got the new car smell and you want to drive it around and show it off to your friends. But after a while it just becomes mundane and normal. And the pleasure is gone. All the pain is still there. The money you had to pay and make and so on. So what they do is they enjoy showing it to other people. So when he shows it to you and you say, wow, this is so beautiful, he feels another spark, just a little bit. He squeezes his material possessions and he gets just one more fleeting sensation of pleasure. And so while he was giving me the tour, I showed no reaction. I said, I'm not going to give him that pleasure. I don't want, first of all, I was not interested. I was genuinely, I don't know, maybe I was in a bad mood, but I genuinely did not care. When he said, drive the Ferrari, I said, no, I don't want to. I don't feel a connection at all. Secondly, I thought to myself, I shouldn't give him that pleasure of then saying to, because again, I'll see it, I'll say wow, he'll feel a little good about himself and what he's done. Then he'll tell someone else that, I brought so-and-so and he saw my house and he really loved it, he really enjoyed it, he took the car for a spin. I said, no, I'm not giving him that. Because at some point, we need to realize, both me and him, I'm sure he was a much better person than me. I'm not judging him. But we need to understand that at one point or another, that this life is fleeting, it's transient, that it's going to end very soon, and that we're going to say goodbye to all of this. We're going to have to be forced out of this world kicking and screaming, because we have all of these connections that we've developed, all of these relationships, including to my furniture, including to my phone, and including to my keychain, and all of it. Try to pluck out one strand of hair from your hand. See how much that painful that feels. And it's just one hair. Now imagine trying to extract your soul from this life that you've developed so many connections to, so many love relationships, not just the family and friends, but all the little things that we have. Now you begin to understand, we get a sense of why Sakratul Maut is so painful. It's not just about some physical phenomenon that happens when the soul is extracted, and God knows what that's like. If you take out a tooth, they have to give you all these anesthetics. Now imagine the soul is being taken out. But part of the pain is that I just wasted my whole life. The Commander of the Faithful says that the worst thing for those people who are dying is that اجتمعت عليهم سكرة الموت وحسرة الفوت. It is the stupor of death, and it's also the regret of having lost everything. Wasted my life. What did I get for it? What did I do? What did I build over there? I spent my whole life building and building and building Lego blocks, or houses of sand on the beach. You build and build and build, and then someone just comes and steps over it and it's all gone. An hour and a half of my meticulous artistic expression gone in the sand. Alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Imam al-Hussein is reminding us of this reality. The Imam says, كأن الدنيا لم تكن وكأن الآخرة لم تزل. That's what you should have your eye on. The Imam says in another quote of his, this is before Ashura, again very revealing, very insightful, very awakening. The Imam says, الدنيا, the nature of this world, is that حلوها ومرها حلم. Both the sweetness of this world and the bitterness of this world is but a dream. It's a mirage. What does Amir al-Mu'mineen say? He says that الناس نيام, people are sleeping. إذا ماتوا انتبهوا, when they die, that's when they suddenly wake up. When they die, they realize this was just a dream. Not a dream in the philosophical, mystical, irfani sense, which is absolutely inaccurate. A dream in the sense that it feels like a dream. It's not an illusion. We do exist. This is all real. But it feels as if though it was just a dream. When you wake up, while you're dreaming, it feels so real. It feels like it's all happening. You see someone chasing you down the road and you actually experience heart palpitations. Your heart races. Something scares you in your dream and you're terrified. But then as soon as you wake up, you're like, oh, that was just a dream. The Imam says, this world, the sweetness and the bitterness. In other words, don't get overly attached to the sweetness and don't be too upset over the bitterness, because it's just a dream. And if you know how sometimes you see these lucid dreams, and in the dream you know it's a dream. When you recognize the nature of the dream while you're still in it, it's much easier to interact with the world around you. It's like but that's just a dream. Like when you see someone who's passed away, it's a dream. And so you're not scared of them, you're not overly excited that they've come back. No, it's just a dream. I'm getting a chance to speak to someone that I lost a long time ago. And so you savor it, you take advantage of it. You're like, how are you? How have you been? What's it like over there? It's a mirage, it's a dream. And so, is it worth it? Imam al-Hussein, through his words, through his actions, through his sacrifices, through his martyrdom on the plains of Karbala, is reminding us that it's not worth it. No matter what happens, you should never compromise on your values, on your principles. Your religion is your number one priority. Over and over again, at every station, at every point in Karbala, Imam al-Hussein and his companions remind us of this. Wallahi in qata'tumu yamini. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas says, by God, if you sever my hand, inni uhami abadan an dini. I will continue to protect and safeguard my religion forever. Forever. In other words, he's saying, yeah, even if you cut my left hand, it won't help you. It won't stop me. إني أحامي أبدا عن ديني وعن إمام صادق اليقين. And I will continue to protect this Imam, my leader, whose certainty is true. His conviction is real. In other words, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas is drawing inspiration from Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein was like a sun, exuding light, exuding courage, exuding all of these virtues, and the companions were soaking them in. Imam al-Baqir says that in Ashura, in Karbala, the companions of Imam al-Hussein, لَمْ يَذُوقُوا حَرَّ الْحَدِيدِ. Can you believe that? They never felt the blades and the stabs and the spears in their bodies. They didn't feel anything. Why? Because you know how when you take an anesthetic, a drug, it's a bad example, but I just want to make it clear. When you take something that is so powerful, suddenly you're in your own world. You're not bothered with the world outside. They had smelt the fragrance of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. They were completely enamored by the son of Fatima al-Zahra. So they felt nothing. They were embracing death like it was the most beautiful guest that you're waiting for. Forget the shuhada of Karbala. We have shuhada in our own lifetimes. Someone I was telling the brothers the other day about, my own teacher and mentor, Ayatollah Sheikh Baqir al-Nimr, rahmatullah ta'ala alayh, this legend, who was killed primarily not just for the rights of the Shia in Hijaz and Qatif, but the first thing that sparked his opposition to the regime was Baqi' and those barren graves of Al Muhammad, which, like the bodies of the Shuhada in Karbala, are under the sun, and you have these savages stomping over them. He said, this cannot happen. Baqi' has to be rebuilt. And for that, they got him killed. Sheikh al-Nimr has an article called Mahbubati al-Shahada, my beloved sweetheart martyrdom. So imagine what the companions of Imam al-Hussein were like. When you've heard that on the eve of Ashura, they spent the night ما بين راكع وساجد وتال للقرآن. They spent the night in prayer and bowing down and prostrating and reciting the Quran. At one point, one of them started to crack a joke with his friend. So he said to him, do you think this is the night to be joking? He said, what are you talking about? إن هي إلا ساعة. It's only what separates us from martyrdom and from entering paradise is only this night. Tomorrow we will be in the best and highest and loftiest places. Of course I'm going to joke. What better day, what better night, what better time, what better occasion than having our Imam in our midst? Allahumma ajjal li waliyyika al-faraj.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات
اللهم
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
It is when you hear stories like these that you begin to feel just what a big void we have in the absence of our Imam. Traditions say, I saw a hadith where a Sunni scholar of the day would come to Masjid al-Nabi and stand in a corner just to be able to see Imam Zayn al-Abidin in the state of Salah. And they used to tell him, what are you doing here? he would say, I'm completely bedazzled by Zayn al-Abidin, Ali ibn al-Hussein al-Sajjad. The Imam's prayer, which is why in Ziyarat Yasin, you kind of remind yourself of what you're missing out on. Assalamu alayka hayna taqoom. Assalamu alayka hayna tusalli. Assalamu alayka hayna taqnut. Assalamu alayka hayna tarka'u wa tasjud. Imagine if we had our Imam with us and we could watch him pray and we could watch him speak and we could watch him walk. May Allah bring about his reappearance in our lifetimes. Anyway, I don't want to take too much time from the dear brothers. May Allah bless you all. You are the mourners of Imam al-Hussein, the Azadar of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. The focus should be on Azadari. The focus should be on crying and consoling Fatima al-Zahra and Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen. The Imam says, this is the nature of this world. Don't be fooled by it. Don't be deceived by it. Constantly remember death. Visit the cemeteries. Visit the graveyards. Remind yourself that this is the path we're all heading into, that we're going to die sooner or later. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, we're all dying. ما كان هذا أوله كان حقيقا ما كان هذا آخره. The Imam says, if death is the end of something, then the beginning and all the things that happened before it are really not worth it, because it all ends with death. وَمَا كَانَ هَذَا أَوَّلُهُ. And if a journey begins with death, كَانَ حَقِيقًا أَنْ يُخْشَى مِنْ آخِرِهِ. If it begins with death, then we should really be terrified with what happens after that. If the start, if the inception is death, as terrifying as that is. Now, people unfortunately are short-sighted. I am short-sighted. I don't see something that's far, even though it's approaching. And so all we're fixated on is what is happening in the immediate surrounding. And what I want right now, my pleasure, my temptation, my belongings, my money, all the fights that happen over inheritance, over a tiny piece of land, over a few cubic meters here and there, it's not worth it. The companions of Imam al-Hussein also had desires. They also had temptations. Al-Qasim had desires. He had his whole life ahead of him. Ali al-Akbar had his whole life ahead of him. These companions, they were driven by one statement, which was uttered by Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyah. What did he say? He said, أُخَيِّرُ نَفْسِي بَيْنَ الْجَنَّةِ وَالنَّارِ. If you make any decision that you take in your life about these two polar opposites, I am about to choose between heaven and hell. وَوَاللَّهِ لَا أَخْتَارُ عَلَى الْجَنَّةِ شَيْئًا. It becomes so clear then. He says, so I will never choose anything over paradise. What is paradise? The hadith says that the blessings of Allah in paradise, مَا لَا عَيْنٌ رَأَتْ وَلَا أُذُنٌ سَمِعَتْ وَلَا خَطَرَ عَلَى قَلْبِ بَشَرٍ. No eye has ever seen anything like it. No ear has ever perceived the description of anything like it. And no heart has ever imagined it. You can't even imagine the blessings of paradise. One hadith, the Holy Prophet says that if إذا أنزل الله ثوبا من ثياب الجنة, one of the shirts in paradise, if that was brought into this dunya, لَمَاتَ النَّاسِ مِنْ شَهْوَةِ النَّظَرِ إِلَيْهِ. Everyone would die from an overdose of pleasure of looking at this shirt. That's not a drug overdose, that's an overdose of pleasure from looking at the shirt that's worn by people in paradise. Let alone everything else. Jannatun عرضها كعرض السماوات والأرض. But the companions, they understood this. They realized that everything in this world, the pleasure is very short, transient, fleeting. It's mixed with pain. Any pleasure is almost always followed by pain. Always. They bring you the best, most beautiful food. You eat it for about half an hour. You could do so as slowly as you want. But then as soon as you're done, you can't even look at it anymore. Take it. Clear the table. You can't even see it. Done. Al-Hur had very specific instructions. One of them included arresting Imam al-Hussein and his companions and family members. This is the only instruction that he didn't follow. Everything else he followed to the letter. He was told to ja'ja' al-Hussein. Ja'ja'a means to press and squeeze as much as possible, to exert as much pressure as possible. In other words, hurt them. Don't just stand there, or don't just make them go a different direction. Don't just stop them. No. Make them feel the pain. They need to be punished for rising against the Khalifa. And so he arrives with 1,000 men. Imam al-Hussein, just prior to that, the day before, had reached an area where there was a pond. He instructed his companions and family members to go and fill every single container they had. It's amazing, brothers. The Imam had them fill every container. Then he said, go back and see if there is any extra containers, any extra water bottles, anything that you could put water into, go and fill that up as well. But they didn't need that much water. SubhanAllah, look at the discipline. Look at the respect. Look at the obedience they had. No one even said, Ya Aba Abdullah, we've got enough water. No, they all did exactly as instructed. They went, filled up any extra vessel that they had. Then the Imam told them a third time. SubhanAllah. They filled it all up. Then the next day, Hur arrived with 1,000 men. The Imam said, go and feed them. They're all thirsty. So they went and they fed every last single one of them. Then the Imam said, وَرَشِّفُ الْخَيْلِ تَرْشِيفًا. Go feed and quench the thirst of their horses too. Yes, the same horses that on the day of Ashura were summoned by Umar ibn Sa'd. Those same horses. One of those men says, I was the last person to reach the camp. Out of the 1,000 men, I was the last person. When I came, I was so parched, I was dying of thirst. It was Hussein himself whom came to me and started to quench my thirst with his own bare hands. Then Hur told the Imam, he said, I have instructions not to let you proceed to Kufa or to go back. You need to either stop here or you come with me and give your pledge of allegiance to the Khalif, to the Amir. So the Imam didn't abide by his instructions, but he would go in different directions, and Hur would try and make sure that the Imam's path wasn't clear. For example, they arrived at a place where there was an oasis, there were some palm trees, there was some shade. The Imam said, we'll stop here. He said, no shade. I've been commanded to put pressure on you. You need to be punished. No shade for you and your family. Hur was not a Shia of the Ahlul Bayt. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, there's a discussion as to whether he was a Shia. But Hur most definitely was not. Then they reached an area that was access to the river. He said, no, you're not allowed to camp near the river either. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like when it comes to someone like Hur, you can't even compare him to anyone else. Imam Sadiq addresses him and says, بِأَبِي أَنْتَ وَأُمِّي. May my parents be ransomed for you. You can't compare Hur with anyone. But I can compare Hur prior to Ashura to me. I feel that there is a resemblance between myself and Hur before his repentance. He had nothing to show in his rap sheet, in his ledger of deeds. There was nothing in it. And it's people like that that Imam al-Hussein tries to bring closer. The Imam is trying to guide him. Subhanallah, Imam al-Hussein is such a powerful force of guidance that it is said, Al-Mutawakkil al-Abbasi, may Allah curse him for eternity. He used to hold these gatherings every night where he would bring singers and he would drink and have a party and enjoy himself. One night, a specific female singer was supposed to come and sing for him, but she didn't show up. So he became angry. He asked about her. They said that she refused to come, even though it was her turn. So he sent after her. She was summoned to the court. When she came, he said to her, "What happened to you? You're supposed to be here last night. I was waiting." She said, "No, I was in Hajj. I went to Hajj." He said, "What, are you making fun of me? It's Sha'ban. Which Hajj are you talking about?" She said, "Hajjajtu ila qabr al-Husayn. A while ago, I went to the shrine of Aba Abdullah al-Husayn and I've repented. I'm not doing this anymore. The grave of Hussein is a source of redemption. The grave, not him, his grave. That's why the tyrants were so intent on destroying the grave of Imam al-Hussein and preventing the ziyarah of Aba Abdullah al-Husayn." And so immediately after that, he ordered her to be sent to prison and for the shrine of Imam al-Hussein to once again be razed to the ground. They don't want someone like Hussein. They don't want his name to exist. So Imam al-Hussein knows that Hur has nothing. So he tries to send a bait. He tries to give him something. And so at one point when he prevented the Imam from camping near an area that was had some trees and had some shade, Al-Hur refused. The Imam said to him, "Thakalatka ummuka ya Hur. May your mother grieve over you." You know how sometimes there might be a car accident or something. One person hurls a profanity, curses the other, and the other immediately responds with 10 profanities. People are like that. When the Imam told him, "May your mother grieve over you," he put his head down and he said, "Had it been someone else, I would have said something about your mother, but how could I do that when your mother is Fatima Zahra?" Now suddenly he has a tick in his rap sheet. He has something. There's something to work with. Now I say, "Ya Aba Abdullah, you led Hur through the door of Fatima Zahra because he showed respect to Fatima. Look at what you did to him, how you transformed him. Ya Aba Abdullah, we would die for Fatima Zahra. Your mother, to us, she represents the epitome of honor and the source and the hope of our salvation on the day of judgment. Ya Aba Abdullah, we ask you in the name of your mother Fatima Zahra to glance at us, to take another look at this sinful, insubordinate slave of yours." He showed respect. There was hope. And so on the day of Ashura, when he's seen shivering and shaking, his friend says to him, "If I were asked who is the most courageous person, who's the bravest person in Kufa, lama adawtuk, I wouldn't skip over you. I would say it must be none other than Hur. Why are you shaking?" Hur said, "I didn't think they would actually kill him. I thought that surely Hussein, for the sake of his women and children, will eventually give in. He will eventually surrender. He would go and give this pledge of allegiance. I thought this was all a theatrical show to scare him into obedience. I didn't believe that they would actually kill the son of Fatima." And so he asked Umar ibn Sa'ad, he said, "Awa anta qatilun hadha ar-rajul? Are you going to kill this man?" He said, Na'i wallah, qitalun. I will fight with him in such a way that there will be heads and hands flying overhead. And so he begins to shake. His friend says to him, what's wrong with you? He said, I'm not afraid. It's just that أخير نفسي بين الجنة والنار. I see myself between heaven and hell. وَوَاللَّهِ لَا أَخْتَارُ عَلَى الْجَنَّةِ شَيْئًا. Then he thinks to himself, I don't know what was going on in the mind of Hur. But if I were him, I would think, I oppressed Imam al-Hussein. I scared his children. I refused to let him rest and be under a shade. I was the one who kept him here until everyone else joined up, and now there are 30,000 people. And now Imam al-Hussein is about to be killed, the son of Fatima, the son of Ali. What hope for redemption do I possibly have? But I'm just going to go and surrender myself into his embrace. I'm just going to go to him. Which is what we're supposed to do, brothers. We're all sinful. I'm speaking about myself first and foremost. You surrender yourself to the Imam. You just tell him, hold my hand, help me. So he goes. His head is bowed. He's on the back of his horse. He arrives at the camp. And the first thing he says is, Ya Aba Abdullah, halli min tawbah. Is there a way for me to redeem myself? Can I repent at this stage, at this late stage when it's all over? And this is what I've done. The Imam could have told him, you're forgiven, now go. The Imam instead says to him, Na'am taballahu alayk. You have already been forgiven. Which means that if you had died on your way to my camp, you would still go to paradise. The moment you headed in my direction, the moment you decided to surrender yourself to your Imam, Allah already forgave you. Taballahu alayk. Then the Imam said to him, Irfa' ra'sak. In this camp, no one is humiliated. Everyone's honored. You're our guest now. Raise your head high. You're now a member of this camp of Aba Abdullah. And the Imam said to him, alight and disembark your horse. Come, join us. Have a seat. Get some rest. He said to him, Ya Aba Abdullah, I was the first to block your access to the water and to Kufa. And I wish to be the first person to die in your way as well. It would please me if you gave me permission to go and fight. Allahu Akbar. He goes, he fights valiantly, and then he gets injured and falls to the ground. Now the other companions, remember Muslim ibn Awsaja, when he fell, Habib ibn Mudahir rushed to him, his friend from back in Kufa. Many of them were childhood friends. Many of them had come in hordes. There were 5 of them coming together, 2 of them coming together. Hur had no one. So who showed up to his side? It was Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. The Imam rushed to him. He said to him, Anta hurrun kama sammatka ummuk. You are truly a free man, just as your mother named you. Then the Imam got up and he said 2 things. Number 1 was Ni'mal hurru hurru bani riyahi. The best free man is Hur. Allahu Akbar. How he went from an enemy of Fatima al-Zahra and the Ahlul Bayt and Amir al-Mu'mineen and Rasulullah to now becoming the best free man. The other thing the Imam said was he looked at him and he said, Qatlatun ka qatlatil anbiya. You came here whichever way you were, and now you left this world like prophets did. Ka qatlatil anbiya. Sallallahu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Ajarakallah baqiyat Allah. I wish to address Al-Hur and say, Oh Hur, when you fell to the ground, Aba Abdullah came to you. You had no friends, no family. Imam al-Hussein became your family. He became your friend. He came and held your head in his lap. But Ya Hur, where were you a few hours after that? when Abu Abdullah also fell to the ground. أجرك الله بقية الله يا حجة ابن الحسن. He fell to the ground. Imam al-Sajjad was only a few 100 feet away from him. A father at the point of his death wishes to see his children around him. He wants to see his family come to him. And yet Imam al-Hussein, when he opened his eyes, instead of seeing his companions, instead of seeing his son Zayn al-Abidin, instead of seeing his sister Zainab, who was on the hilltop so that she could see what was happening, instead of seeing a friendly face, he opened his eyes and he saw the face of Shimr ibn Dhil Jawshan sitting on his chest. أيوة ويلاه وحسيناه وغريباه. يا حسين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. عجل اللهم فرج إمام زماننا، اجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه وأتباعه والمستشهدين بين يديه ومن الآخذين بثأر جده أبي عبد الله الحسين إلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والعلماء والشهداء والصالحين وخدمة أبي عبد الله الحسين ومن مات على ولاية أمير المؤمنين. ولتعجيل فرج إمام زماننا نهدي لهم ثواب المجلس وثواب سورة المباركة الفاتحة مع الصلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وعجل فرجهم. بسم الله.